Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's talk about artificial intelligence. It's a term that is absolutely everywhere, right? But its sudden explosion onto the scene, well, it's left a lot of us with more questions than answers. So let's fix that.
It really feels like AI went from something you'd see in a sci-fi movie to our everyday reality almost overnight. So beyond all the hype, what is it really? And, what was the big change that made it the #1 topic in tech?
Okay, so in the next few minutes, we're going to cut right through all that noise. I'm going to give you a super clear foundational understanding of this technology. So let's dive in and start with the basics.
All right, Section 1. What is AI anyway? Look, before we can even begin to understand this revolution, we've got to get on the same page about what we're actually talking about.
Okay, so at its absolute core, AI is just a big umbrella term. It's for any tech that gives a computer those abilities we normally think of as, well, human. The power to think, to learn from new stuff, and then to make decisions based on what it's learned.
Now, here's something that trips a lot of people up, the whole AI versus robots thing. The easiest way to think about it is this. AI is the brain. It's the software, the thinking part. The robot? That's the body, the physical machine that actually does stuff. You can have an AI that lives completely on a computer server, and you can have a really simple robot that doesn't need a fancy AI to do its job.
And here's the thing. You've actually been using this kind of AI for years, probably without even thinking about it. This is what experts call narrow AI. And a great way to picture it is like a master craftsman. It's an absolute expert, but only at one specific job. Think about the voice assistant on your phone, or those spooky good recommendations you get when you're shopping online, even your email spam filter, or how your phone's photo app knows who's who. Yep, that's all this craftsman AI doing its thing.
So, if that AI has been around for so long, what's all the fuss about now? Why is everyone talking about it? Well, that brings us to the new kid on the block, generative AI. And believe me, this is the breakthrough that has completely changed the game.
Okay, this is the fundamental shift, the big difference. Traditional AI, it's like a brilliant factory inspector. Its whole job is to look at a ton of data and find things. Find a pattern, find a mistake, find a search result. But generative AI, it's something else entirely. It's more like an artist or an author. It doesn't just find things, it creates new things right from scratch. We're talking new text, new images, even new music and computer code.
And boy, did the world notice. This creative ability, it just took off. The most famous example, of course, is ChatGPT. It just exploded. To put this into perspective, by early 2024, we're talking 400 million people using it every single week. That's just staggering. This wasn't some niche tool for techies anymore. This was for everybody.
And to really appreciate how huge this leap is, you have to look back. Chatbots aren't new. Way back in the 1960s, there was a program called Eliza. It kind of mimicked a conversation, but really it was just matching keywords. Now, fast forward to 2022 and ChatGPT, which can hold a genuinely natural, context-aware conversation. The jump in what it can do is, wow, it's just astonishing.
So that's the big question, right? How did this happen? How did AI suddenly get so smart so fast? Let's pull back the curtain and unpack the key ingredients that made this whole breakthrough possible.
Now, this didn't just happen overnight. It was more of an evolution, built piece by piece. It really started with this idea called machine learning, the basic concept that instead of programming every single rule, we could just feed computers a ton of data and let them learn for themselves. Then that evolved into deep learning, which uses these complex, brain-like neural networks to find much deeper, more subtle patterns. And the final step? It was the perfect storm. Brilliant new software models met a massive leap in raw hardware power.
And a huge piece of that puzzle was the hardware. The real engine driving all this modern AI is something called a GPU, a graphics processing unit. And here's the funny part. These chips were originally designed for video games, to make the graphics look amazing. But it just so happens that the kind of math they do to create those beautiful worlds is also absolutely perfect for the insane amount of calculations AI needs. So you have the engine, and then came the software spark that ignited it. In 2017, this new model called the Transformer came along. And you can seriously think of this as giving AI a superpower, like real reading comprehension. For the first time, it allowed an AI to not just see words, but to actually understand the context, the relationship between them in a full sentence. That is the magic that makes today's translation apps and chatbots feel so incredibly human.
Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got the hardware, we've got the software, but what does all that tech talk actually mean for us, in the real world? Let's take a look at what this stuff can actually do right now.
Honestly, the range of things it can do is already pretty mind-blowing. In your work life, it can draft entire reports and emails for you. For creatives, it can generate photorealistic images just from a description. In factories and medicine, it's this incredible analytical tool, spotting tiny defects on an assembly line or helping a doctor see the earliest signs of a disease on an X-ray. And in terms of pure strategy, well, it beat the world's best human players at super complex games like chess and Go a long, long time ago.
Look, all this power, it's impressive, for sure. But it can also feel a little intimidating, right? And that leads us to what is maybe the most important part of this whole conversation. What does this tech actually mean for our jobs, for our lives, for our future? Okay, let's just put the big question right out on the table, because it's what everyone is thinking. With a tool this powerful, will AI take my job? It's a completely fair question, and it deserves a straight answer.
Well, the way most experts are starting to see it isn't about replacement, it's about partnership. Think of it like a team. AI is just phenomenal at the stuff we humans find boring or really hard. Repetitive tasks, sifting through mountains of data, and working at lightning speed. But we're the champions of things AI just can't do. Real creativity, coming up with brand new solutions, empathy, and big picture strategy.
So the real goal here is to use AI as this incredible new tool. Let it handle all the grunt work, all the tedious, data-heavy stuff. That frees us up, our time, our brainpower, to focus on the creative, strategic, and deeply human work that really pushes things forward.
At the end of the day, AI isn't some destiny that's being forced on us. It's a tool, and it just might be the most powerful tool humanity has ever built. Just like the printing press or the internet, yeah, it's going to reshape our world. So the only real question left, the one we all have to answer, is this: what are we going to create with it? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.